Hey guys, welcome back. This is episode 5 of the recording of the Jesus,
Recap.
Journey to
of the
episode
journey
9.
episode. I'm losing my mind today. I can't.
God.
Yes, guys. This is episode 5 where we recapping all through the movies up till episode 9. So today we're doing Empire Strikes Back.
ESOB.
ESB.
ESOB.
ESB.
ESOB. I'm gonna say that now. ESOB.
ESOB?
ESB.
Yeah. The SBs. Sorry. But why don't we start with who started last time?
Let's see. So,
We're
Sean, you
doing
left
top 5
off.
today.
on
Sean,
that
you
one.
started off last time, so
We'll let Andrew go. I want to hear this
Andrew,
guy. I want to hear what he
Andrew,
has.
why do you start?
5.
okay. So my 5 takeaways from The Empire Strikes Back is, well, rewatching it, Disney Plus made it look even better.
We're gonna be just gawking every time, just our thoughts of it. It's gonna get higher and higher.
It really is. But number 5 for me for The Empire Strikes Back is in the Wampa Cave, seeing Luke actually, we saw him kind of use the Force in A New Hope, but we didn't really fully see it until Empire, when he Force pulled the lightsaber out of the snow. That was a really cool moment. And then 4 is the Battle of Hoth. That is one of my favorite battles. Just the music, the snow, everything, the walkers, AT-ATs, I don't call them AT-ATs.
AT-ATs, yeah.
And it definitely had that desperate feel, like the Empire. You felt the Empire's strength there. Well, granted, you feel the Empire's strength throughout the entire movie, but right there was like, okay, the Empire is more than just the Death Star. They don't necessarily need it to show their power. 3, the reveal of Darth Vader's Super Star Destroyer with the first hearing of the Imperial March and seeing like one of the Star Destroyers being covered in shadow, and then you see the Star Destroyer, and then you see Darth Vader, where I think I mentioned no, I didn't mention during the recording, but I didn't like the suit he had for A New Hope. I've just always had issues with it. I know people love it. I've just never been a fan of it. It was just something jarring to me. I was never a fan of the robes on top of the chest shield. I liked it underneath, where you could see the armor a lot better. And the shine to his suit in this one is definitely a lot better, in my opinion. But what about you guys for the suit itself?
I mean, I've always been a big Vader guy. It's like the focus of my collection, essentially. Anything that I have is really Vader focused, and I think one of the things when collecting anything surrounding Darth Vader, I think that the Empire Strikes Back Vader style is one that I always go towards. Like you said, the robing on the outside for me was always like, this is. I never thought it as really being appealing at any sort of way. Like, I wanted to see his chest armor. I wanted to see his vulnerability. I mean, that's the whole reason why Anakin got the suit in the first place, was because it was meant to be clunky. It's even said in the comics and even in some of the Vader novels and stuff, like how clunky that suit is. He can't move the way he wants to in that thing. So when you have the robes on the outside, you just don't get that feeling of vulnerability with him. It's more of just like a power look at that point. But in Empire Strikes Back, you see that armor. You see the many layers to him that exist and everything. So yeah, I agree with you. I think the New Hope one is all right, because it's similar to the one that we see in Rogue One too. But there's something special about the Empire Strikes Back Vader in particular.
I didn't really care for the suit in the first one, or I'm not a big suit guy. Like, I didn't really.
He doesn't like a suit and tie.
I know for me, I like the suit. For Vader, I'm not a big fan of his
There we go.
suit at all. I mean, I wish George Lucas made a better suit for him to look cooler, but
Right.
the way it is, I didn't really bug me at all. But
Right.
I don't know.
I can understand that.
I mean, I like Rogue One's the best. I think it looks the best since it's like
pretty much based off of A New Hope, but it is definitely done a lot better.
Yeah, it's designed, I think, just based off of. I mean, it's an interpretation, I think, of the Revenge of the Sith and then the New Hope one. It's not there yet to A New Hope, but it's moving in its direction, obviously.
Rogue One suit definitely looked a lot better. Well, granted, yeah, it's A New Hope, but definitely looked a lot better. And you don't see his eyes.
No, that's right.
That's always been an issue with me, is that you could see through his lenses.
Yeah.
In A New Hope, granted, yeah, they couldn't really do much with that.
Right.
But this, no seeing his eyes behind the mask or anything like that.
Yep.
And it still amazes me that with how shiny the helmet is in this, and even Return of the Jedi, that you don't see any cameras, anything in the helmet.
Reflective.
So,
no.
But granted, they probably could remove it digitally, like if in post production, but still, it impresses me that you don't see like any behind the scenes stuff like cameras,
right.
Like that. That was
there's just 3, yeah.
3. 2 would be Yoda training Luke, specifically in Yoda's hut, where you get the reveal that he's Yoda. The way it's built up and how he's been testing Luke the entire time.
Right.
And you get to see and get a feel of how much history the character has.
Right.
How he says, for 800 years, I've trained Jedi. My own counsel I will keep on who is to be trained. And number 1, the duel on Bespin.
Yeah.
One of my favorite lightsaber duels. They fixed it a lot better in this. In the Blu-rays, they made it too bright in the carbon freezing chamber, in my opinion. This, they definitely darkened it, and it looked a lot better. Again, like we mentioned in A New Hope, the lightsabers look so much better. Vader's lightsaber looks a lot more red than it did before, because before they had it look kind of like a pinkish color, which was weird.
Yeah.
And then they fixed it to make it look more red. And it's honestly the only time, besides Rogue One, you see Vader ignite his lightsaber.
True point.
Everything else, it's already ignited. Granted, maybe you see it in Return of the Jedi, but you don't hear it turn on, which is weird.
That is weird. It is. Huh. Interesting. I mean...
what's your top 5? I see you're thinking of really hard. That what you think?
Yeah. I mean, I think my number 5 is actually the Luke training sequence with Yoda. And Andrew explains it beautifully. I think that there's so much that happens there that's so crucial to the story. It's not in my top 3 even, but it's very important to the storyline. And then my number 4 is when, and this is, I think it's definitely at the beginning when Han goes out searching for Luke. At the beginning of Empire Strikes. Some people say that entire section in Empire Strikes Back is very drawn out. It's hard to really understand what the importance to it is.
But Empire Strikes Back is perfect.
It is. Right.
Nothing
Empire Strikes Back is absolutely perfect in so many different ways. But yeah, I think just to show the difference between A New Hope, when Han comes back into the picture and saves Luke so that he can take the shot, and then heading him to Empire Strikes Back, where really Han does really care for Luke. We see that in that moment. He's really concerned about him. And making sure that he's safe.
It
I think
shows the growth of the character.
it shows
Oh,
the
it
growth
does.
of Harrison Ford as an actor, and it
Mhm.
shows the growth of Han Solo as a character, somebody who really was only out for himself for a very large amount of time.
Mhm.
So to see that with that character in particular at the beginning of A New Hope was awesome. Number 3 for me is the actual battle on Hoth. That still sticks in my mind. Them getting the tow cables out and wrapping around the AT-ATs and taking them down. Then of course we lose Dak. Of course we lose, gets squished by the poor AT-AT.
Nobody liked Dak anyway. He was too
Well,
cut.
I mean, the problem was that Sean and I met John Morton. I feel bad. He got squished.
Sorry.
Poor John. Poor John. Squishy Dak. Squishy
I mean,
Dak. Scott Inch loves.
well, some people say that they noticed like Luke pulling him out of the
Yeah, he was trying to
snow
save him.
speeders.
He was
So
trying to save him. Then he went for his lightsaber. I mean, that's
that's more important.
that's more important than Dak at that point.
Well, Dak's already dead, so
So that was my number 3 moment. My number 2 moment in Empire Strikes Back is, of course, the reveal of basically that Vader is Luke's father, and just that whole sequence, the discussion that Luke and him are having, either you killed my father, and just I'm just reliving it now after watching it again, and it's so emotional, and you can just see the mystery building up. Luke is sitting there as Vader's talking to him. He's like, "Oh crap! Oh shit! This guy, this guy knows exactly who I am," and he comes to that reality. And again, I mean, George really didn't plan, and we're going to talk more about what George's plans were going into Empire Strikes Back. But
yeah.
Irving Kershner and the rest of the crew there that were working on it, I mean, in all honesty, George was really like the producer on it. He really wasn't the director behind a lot of this. And these were ideas that he had but never really wanted to come to fruition in particular. And everybody that worked with him on the project said, no, it's probably a good idea if you do this. It's a different take. It allows us to build suspense and allows us to move into Return of the Jedi, which we'll be talking about coming on down the road here, with a very different mindset on the character and the character build up as well. So I think alone, that is the moment in Star Wars that always sticks out too.
It wouldn't have worked if it was still the reveal of like Obi-Wan killing Luke's father. It makes no sense, and if it finished the way it did, why would Luke still want to be a Jedi?
I know.
That wouldn't make any sense.
So it only made sense, I think, for the entire
moment.
team, and for that moment in particular, for that to happen the way it did. And then, of course, my number 1 moment in Empire Strikes Back, of course, is our introduction to Boba Fett. I love it when he's standing there and he looks at Boba Fett and he was like, make sure Han is transported properly, and he's no good to me dead. That just hearing Boba Fett and actually seeing him go out and execute the bounty as it was. It means so much to me now that I look at The Mandalorian too. Yeah, I mean, that was like our first introduction to that. And to see
besides the holiday special.
Yeah. True.
Not
but
canon.
I mean, the bounty hunters of Star Wars. Sean and I remember this from Rhode Island Comic-Con this year, is that they are so crucial to the Star Wars story, and Empire Strikes Back shows us them. We never really get any true background story, but we see IG-88, we see Bosk. Boba Fett's the one that goes out and actually does the job, even though they all basically receive it. And it's really cool to have that moment where Boba Fett's able to accomplish that. And it means so much more now to the Star Wars canon and to the underground of Star Wars itself. That's what makes Empire Strikes Back so different from the rest of the Star Wars films, is we see so many different levels of this galaxy all come into one.
And it's the first time that we see the Emperor.
Yes, exactly.
And
exactly.
Okay, before Sean gets into his top 5, which Emperor version do you prefer? The weird monkey-looking one, or do you like the re-adding of Ian McDermott's Emperor?
There's something special about the original one. I still feel there's something still like very classic 80s about it that I still like to watch even here and there when I'm on YouTube, and I like to rewatch that clip in particular. But the remastered one, I think it fits well with the prequels in particular.
Mhm.
It makes sense. But there's something about that 80s Palpatine, man. There's something about it that's still
I
kind of
don't
cool.
think if they kept that original like look for Palpatine, I don't think it would have worked in Return of the
Yeah.
Jedi.
Probably not. Probably not.
I mean,
It's
I
more,
prefer
more
the
nostalgic than
80s.
anything.
Yeah, I prefer the 80s, but I feel like I'm gonna prefer him in the Rise of Skywalker.
That's the Palpatine we're gonna want. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Uh,
I prefer them adding Ian McDermott into Empire because it
Yeah.
makes sense. And I don't think they should have added more lines to it. I think they could have kept it the same.
Yeah, probably.
But I do like Ian McDermott being in it a little bit more than Baboon or Monkey-Eyed Emperor.
Interesting version of that. Interesting.
all right, I guess I'll get into my top 5 moments of this film.
Yeah.
My number 5, I think it's the same thing as you guys. The Battle of Hoth. I mean, it's so iconic.
Yeah.
Just seeing, I think it's the most iconic battle in Star Wars history.
It's definitely
in the
one of my
original
top.
trilogy.
It's definitely like one of my top 5 like battles.
Mm.
I mean, just that moment alone when they're trying to take down the AT-AT with the lines, and then it just goes down. And just seeing in just the remaster version, it looks so clean.
It does. It really does.
And I've always wanted like when I was out in the snow like playing, I feel like we always wanted to do that scene alone,
Hot, yeah.
making a bunker and just like.
Is it bad that I
a-
always recreated like Luke running off into the snowstorm from the Wampa Cave?
No.
No.
Did
That's
you
a great
see
scene
Obi-Wan's
too, by the
Force
way.
Ghost in the process?
What?
Did you see Obi-Wan's Force Ghost in the process? Did he speak to you?
No, but I got cold.
Did you look and you go, Ben?
No, but I got cold and went back into my house.
Smart. That's what Luke should have done. Rapscallion.
And not get frostbite.
Should have went back. He would have been
Probably
warm.
did.
But he would have been with the Wampa.
No, Wampa had his arm cut off. He was gonna die anyway. He could have eat the Wampa meat.
I mean, there's people that have their arms cut off and they live.
It's a Wampa.
He could have lived.
I'm with Andrew.
Folks, there's the new poll. There's the new poll. Can a Wampa live with one arm?
I mean, dogs can live with.
Sean, it's a Wampa.
Okay.
What you got?
You're a Wampa,
Yeah.
but if you lose...
That's fine. Listen, I don't mind that.
But it cauterized the wound, so he's going to be fine.
Anyway, yes.
Anyway,
Yes, good point.
yes, it's just like the scene in The Revenant, but not really.
Basically, yes.
Moving on to my number 4, I think it has to be the introduction when the Millennium Falcon goes into Bespin, and I think it's shot beautifully. It's a different shot from because from that moment forward, I feel like it tells the whole movie's kind of dark, and then you go straight to Bespin. It's like a kind of a light of hope.
Yeah, it's true.
In a way,
And
yeah,
I think
can see that.
I mean, I think that it's so cool to have a atmospheric just Bespin. Bespin's one of my favorite planets. It's so cool. It's different than because it's just a planet with it's just atmosphere, but then just wondering how the civilization built that. I'll look that later. I know what you put in there, Robin.
Yep.
You know what? Since I'm looking at it now, great guess. Jeff, whatever.
Jeff.
Uh,
Yeah. Your next
num-
one.
Number 3?
Yes, number 3.
My number 3 probably has to be the "I'm Your Father" scene. I think it's that scene just so iconic for Star Wars. I mean, anyone who's seen Star Wars that probably can say the same thing as most iconic scene.
It's absolutely stupid. It's the worst thing that ever happened in Star Wars.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you for your input.
What the fucking hell? All right, keep going, Sean.
Sarcasm.
I know. That's why I did it back.
I don't think Robin gets sarcasm.
I get sarcasm. I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing.
I don't think so.
Anyways, for my number 2,
that GIF is exactly what I just did.
I haven't looked at it yet, but let me say my number 2 first before I look at it. 2. Mine. What are they? I'm such a child. My number 2 has to be. I think the same thing with you guys with meeting Yoda as well. I think it's one of my favorite scenes too, and it shows it's the journey to Luke's Force for his Jedi journey. I mean, it's so cool. My number 1, I think it's a little not different, but I think it has to be the scene towards the really end, the scene after Luke gets his hand chopped off by his father, and he is calling to Leia, and I think that's where he unlocks his potential force, his unlocking a level.
I think that is Luke's not Luke, Leia's unlocking of the force. I think
I think it's both, but I think
it had been blocked off for Leia until something like that.
I think it's Leia's first time unlocking, and then Luke's just unlocking another level. He's level 5 or whatever, and Leia's like, "Hey, I leveled up."
Level 5 paladin.
Oh my goodness, we're talking about leveling up in the Star Wars universe and movies. It's interesting. Rey did that too. Rey did that in Force Awakens. She leveled up by the time she was on Starkiller Base.
Nope, she was perfect from the moment we saw her.
Sean, Andrew, I was about to yell at Sean, Andrew. I was about to yell at Sean because of your comment, but that's wrong.
Rey has been perfect ever since we saw her. She's had no issues. She's been perfect.
Sean, did you finish your number 1?
I did, yes.
Awesome.
She has no flaws. She's a perfect.
Sean, can we go to Make It or Break It?
Yes, sorry. I was looking at the gap, and
I'm sorry. I'm just saying what every other Star Wars fan has been saying the last 4 years.
But anyway,
what they're saying is not true anyway. But because they're the fandom metas or whatever they are. They feel they aren't being parented to when they aren't special, or they're the only ones that should make decisions for Lucasfilm or something like that. I don't know. They have a 1-star rating on Amazon for their book, so they suck.
Robin, what's your Make It or Break It?
My Make It or Break It here when it comes to Empire Strikes Back is no, just kidding. No,
like that scene in Last Jedi. Salt.
Salt Bay.
My Make It or Break It is if the Rise of Skywalker is to do one thing that the Empire Strikes Back did is and I think we may see this in particular is Luke's moment in the cave on Dagobah, where he has that moment with Vader and he takes his head off and he sees his own face inside of it. I think we kind of had that in The Last Jedi when Rey was touching basically the glass that was there and trying to find out who her parents were, seeking answers. but I feel like Dark Rey is going to be that kind of moment for her. But that's going
Is
to
it
be
going to
Luke
be
in the
Ray
cave.
or is it going to be Kylo?
Well, and I think that I think Dark Rey is just a manipulation on something else. Like there's going to be transitioning between Dark Rey and then Kylo shows up or somebody else shows up within that. You know, that's how JJ probably wants to move forward with that and use that scene is have it be something really impactful, much like that scene was in Empire Strikes Back with Luke going to Vader and then seeing his own face, his own reality. Is that is there's something more to that relationship between those two. And I think that's my make it. And then for break it, you know, I don't think we really need a ground battle like Hoth. I don't think we need anything like that in particular.
We got
The
that in
space
Last
battle's gonna
Jedi, pretty much.
the space battle's
Yeah.
gonna do it for us. So I don't think we need. I feel like they already did a Battle of Hoth with Crate. Like they tried to do that a little bit. And they already had their moment with that. So don't do that again. We saw that in Last Jedi. So move on from that style.
I can agree with that, and those are actually pretty good points. But my make it or break it for this would be, I would like an actual reveal similar to like the "I am your father" reveal for Rey, whether it be about her parentage, something like
Really?
that. I want something that will challenge her inner self and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yep, that's fine. I'll be finishing up. Yes.
Break it. Similar to you, I don't want another ground battle. Like, yeah, there can be like with the group itself, like battles there, but nothing like armies against each other or anything like that.
Right.
Sean?
Sorry, I was laughing at the gif again. Robin, you gotta stop.
Okay, I'll stop.
My make it or break it. From my make it, I would probably have to say, I think Lando should do another do something similar with a deal with Kylo Ren, like what he did with Vader. I mean, I think it would be interesting to see his.
Yeah.
I mean, they don't have to do it like that, but I would love to see that.
Something
I mean,
on the same idea as the,
Yeah, I agree.
yeah. My break it probably will have to be. I think I'm in the same boat with you guys. We don't need another ground battle. I don't think the Rise of Skywalker needs a huge battle at all.
No, you're right.
besides the space battle, that's really about all it needs.
That's all we really need. Yeah.
And then there's one-on-one versus Kylo and Rey or whatever, or 2-on-2. We don't know what's gonna happen, but we'll figure it out.
Palpatine splits himself in his two Palpatines.
Palpatine's a clone. He cloned himself.
We'll see.
He did it in Legends, so
yeah, we'll
see.
I will say this: if the fans that praise the entire EU have any issues with Palpatine being a clone,
I know.
in this, they're a bunch of fucking hypocrites. Sorry for swearing, but
that's a big statement.
they are. If they praise the Legends.
Yeah,
fucking fantastic.
It's a good point though.
And then if they bring this in from Legends, because it is from Legends,
yeah,
and they complain about it, they'll be hypocrites essentially.
Yeah, because they accepted Thrawn when he came into Rebels.
Mm-hmm.
So to just turn around and say, "Oh, that's the only Legends that counts in canon to us," you can't have it that way. I'm sorry. Take every little bit that they give to you. That's how it should be.
Kind of like what happened with Snoke a little.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much. So.
Well, guys, today we are about 4 days away from the Rise of Skywalker.
And we're basically halfway through this review session.
Yeah, again, like I said, it's going a lot faster than I thought it was going to.
It's gonna come fast.
Yeah. It just so
and
like that,
moment, folks, and there's
so
your
like
moment.
That X-wing pilot, it didn't go in. It just grazed on the surface.
Grazed the surface.
Oh,
Oh, I think on that note, Sean, I think we
should do a little thing that we a little bit called
plug time.
Plug time. Where the good people can find you, Mr. Vogt.
They can follow me over on Twitter at Mr. Vogt Tweets, over on Instagram at The Official Vote, www.brickcityblockade.com. And also, I will say it on here, make sure to hashtag, as Trump says, make sure to hashtag.
Wow.
Hashtag in line
Maybe you're pretty brave right there.
Oh, yeah. You know what? You might as well.
Wow.
Hashtag.
Then again, I did call it the Phantom Menace, so there's that.
That's true. So, hashtag in line for 9 selfie, guys. When you are in line and you're getting yourself ready to go see episode 9 Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, throughout the weekend, make sure to hashtag your pictures with your families, with your friends, in line to see 9 over there across social media, on Twitter and on Instagram and on Facebook. We're going to share all those pictures out. We're going to retweet them. Make sure you use that hashtag inline9 or inline9 selfie. You'll see more details coming up when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Andrew?
You guys can find me on Twitter at agarish1, Instagram Andrew62592, YouTube at Committed Nerd. Video will be up Friday of day of Rise of Skywalker opening night.
And you guys could follow me on Twitter, Michaud1, Instagram at ItZoneZ, follow my music Bandcamp, SoundCloud, and friend me and follow me on Facebook. And this is the end of the show.
May the force be with you.
Always.
Maybe.
Goodbye.